Welcome back to Strength Coach Tutorials, and in today's tutorial, to celebrate making it all the way to episode 50, we're going to start a new multi-episode project in creating this speed template, or this movement systems template. And I'm just going to walk you through a few of the key features of this template before we get on to making it here. So number one, this is a single page printout template that allows you to print out all of your speed and conditioning workouts on one sheet. And using the buttons up at the top, we have hidden a control panel where you are able to select your exercises and movements from a drop-down list, which automatically has them show up in the template, as well as we have the options to recall old sessions that we may have programmed and save sessions underneath the heading so that we can use them at a later date. All of this comes with charts that have, or tables that have all of our exercises programmed, settings where we can set the different categories and things that we're looking at, and then all of our extra sessions that have been saved. So we're going to create this over the next few episodes, and I am also going to make this template available for sale on my website. So let's get after it. Okay, so we're back. And we're starting with a blank sheet, and we're going to try to turn it into that movement skills template sheet that we had in the intro video. Just a reminder what that looks like. If I go here, I have the template here that would display all of my workout data, and then I would keep this in my pocket as I'm instructing my athletes on the session that we have kind of planned for the day. Now, just a quick reminder that if you are finding any help in these videos, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you could share this on social media, that would really help me out a lot. So let's get on to making this template. For today's video, what we want to get done is I want to actually have the whole outline of the template done so that you can start typing information into it and using it by the next day. Okay, so we're going to start with a blank sheet here and turn this into the template. Now, the first thing that I always do with a lot of the sheets that I'm working with, and I've mentioned this in a few different videos, is I always just take the first row and the first column, and I usually bring that down to 10. And to me, I just think it makes the sheets look better. So I've created this sheet a few different times, so I know what the dimensions of it are going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight those now. Basically, what I want is 8 columns long by 42 rows. So I'm going to go count over 8 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to go from 2 all the way to 44. And I'm going to outline that with a border because that's going to be the area that I'm working within. So I just go to the border tool here, and I'm just going to put an outside border all the way around that. And this is going to be the area that we use for our template. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put in the dimensions now to make it look kind of the way that we want it to look. And just because I've created this a few times, I know that B is going to be 20 pixels wide. And the way that you do that is you can just select your column, and then there's a black line with 2 arrows that pop out of it that show up, and you can just drag your cells or your columns to a certain amount of pixels that you want. So I know that C is going to be 130, and then D is going to be 150. And then E, F, and G, I'm just holding down Control as I select those 3, and I've selected them all individually, and those are each going to be 50. And then H and I are both going to be 150. So that's how wide our sheet is going to be, and those are So that's how wide our sheet is going to be, and those are the dimensions of it. And then I know that the first 2 rows are going to both be 40 pixels wide. Okay, so then for my sheets, I'm going to start to put in the lines to make it outlined for what I want. So these first 4 cells, I'm going to merge and center those, and then I'm going to merge and center these 2. Now this one was 20 and this one was 130, so together, these together would be 150, and then this one I is 150. So I know that these 2 are equal size. So when I go and paste a picture in there, it's going to look equal sized. And then these are going to be where the title goes. And across here, I usually have a box that shows what session we're actually working on for that day. And then along here is where we type in a lot of the information for our sheets. So I am going to put some borders around there. And then for my exercises, I actually have these 2 merged. So I'm going to merge that. And I'm going to drag this down after it's been merged, and it should merge all of the cells. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to merge these and then drag it all the way down. And you can see this is starting to shape out like the sheet that I showed you in the example. And then my 2 title sheets are going to, or my 2 title bars are going to be both be merged. And now it's basically outlined the way that we want. So now it's just a matter of putting in some of the colors in the pictures to make it look the way we want. So I'm going to take the whole thing and I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to put a thick outside border. And the way that I'm going to do this, so I'll go to the border tool, go all the way down to more borders, and I'm going to pick the thickest one and put that all the way around the outside. So I like to use this border to outline a lot of the sheets that I do. I just think it helps it look better. And then I'm going to use some thick borders in here to highlight some of these. So I'll put thick borders around where the pictures are going to go, but I'm going to use the ones that aren't quite as thick. So it's just one up from there. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. And then I'll put one across the bottom here. So that's going to be what the top looks like. And then I'll make sure that we have thick borders running all the way along here. So all I've done is I'll select the one row that we've merged and centered, and then hold down Control and select the other row and more borders. And I'm going to put thick, I'm going to put thick on each one. So that's going to be what our borders look like. Now from there, it's just about coloring it in. So I'm going to give this kind of a darker gray color. Let's say about there. And then I usually have a grayer color along here. And then that's pretty much it. We can start to type in our values. So for the font, I want to use Verdana because I think it looks good in this project. So I can change my font. I'm going to type in VER, and it's going to give me the option to use Verdana. And then we'll start to fill in some of our information. So the top is DSMStrength, speed template, but this might be where I put my team name. I'm going to bold that, make it a bit bigger, put it in the middle, and then I'll just put speed template here. That might be where I put my workout title for the day. I'll bold that, put it in the middle, make it a little bit bigger. And then in here, I would usually put the date. So date or session title. And I'll bold that. And then along here, we might have exercise, reps, sets, and rest. And then in notes. And I use these boxes to type in my different exercises. And then from there, I'm going to add some images. So I'll go to Insert and Pictures, and then I have a picture from my computer, so I'm just going to paste that in there. It is on my desktop, and I'll grab it. It's just a standard team logo. So I have this picture now, and I chose a picture without a border. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in that cell. So when I click on the picture, it's giving me a lot of options. If I go over to Align, there is an option to snap it to grid and snap it to shape. So I'm going to start to make it smaller. And as it gets smaller, you can see it actually takes the shape of the cells that I'm trying to stick it in, and it'll stick right in this cell nicely. And there we go, we have the team logo on one side, and because they're both the same size, I can just paste it right in the other side there. And then down the side here, where I might want to signify different sections, like a warm-up, I like these personally when they're all left justified. Whoops. I don't know. Okay, so I like these all personally when they're left justified, so I'm just going to left justify this and warm up. And then what I do with my session titles is I will usually bold those and then underline them. So that would be there. And then I would start to type in my exercises, perhaps something like world's greatest, squat to stand drill, something like that. And then one other trick that is good in here is if I highlight all of these cells and then I right click and go down to where it says format cells and then go to where it says alignment, there's actually an option called shrink to fit. And if I click that, if I was to start to type in something that is a little bit too big for the actual cells that I have, what it does is it automatically shrinks the text to make it fit. So if I typed in world's greatest stretch again, it's going to shrink it down, and it just helps me when I'm using things that may be bigger notes or something like that to make sure that it all fits in one cell. And that's not something that, like, I wouldn't probably type in something that goes that small, but this is maybe a drill that we might use that might go through that many characters. And then to make sure that these, I'm just going to make sure these are all centered. So I'll use the center option here, and then I like the notes centered as well. So we might go world's greatest stretch, maybe 2 sets, 2 to 4 reps, and then no rest. So, and then make sure you do this well. And that might be my notes. And because these are kind of big, I might do that same trick and make these shrink to fit as well. So format cells, alignment, shrink to fit. And there we go. So we could continue typing in our session all the way here. And then the last piece of this puzzle is I want to be able to print this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set the print area. So if I go down to the bottom here and I just select the whole template, I can go to where it says page layout. And there's an option to select print area, and I'll just hit set the print area. So then when I go to my actual printer, if I go file, print, you can see it's going to look all kind of funky, but I can play around with the margins a little bit. So we're under scaling, I can put fit on one page, and then under margins, I can go to custom margins and kind of shrink these down a little bit, maybe 0.25 all the way across. I don't need a footer, I don't need a header. Take this down to 0.25, and I want to center it horizontally and vertically. And you can see now that sheet fills up the page a lot better. And actually there's a little bit of space on the top and the bottom. So if we wanted to add a few more rows, we could do that. But that's going to fit on one page, and we're not going to have a lot of wasted space. So anytime I print that, it'll print really nicely. So as an example of what this sheet might look like when it's all filled out, I'll just close this down, and you can see we have our warm-up, and then we have our different stations that we might be working through, and then any equipment needs that we need for that kind of session. So that's part 1 in this speed movement session template. In parts 2, 3, and however many it takes, we're going to go through some of the functionality of creating the dashboard, creating some of the load and save code, maybe one-click print to PDF. We'll go over creating our exercise libraries, and then really any other kind of things that we think about. If you can think about more features that you want in a template like this, put them in the comments below, and I'll work that into kind of the videos as we work through this series here. So I hope this video helps you out, and if it does, again, just a friendly reminder to make sure that you like and share this video, and don't forget to follow me on YouTube, and also you can find me on Instagram and or Twitter at DSMStrength. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.